early first pick worthy.
It's going to be the LeBlanc instead.
Varus is here as well as a first pick or first rotation priority.
It looks like it's going to be the Varus. Now, Yuki's most played was Varus, so they're taking that away from him.
And not only that, they're now basically telling Misfits Academy to take the Graves here, and then they'll play the Lee Sin into it again. Like, they felt comfortable in the last game, but with this LeBlanc ban, it puts pressure on that mid lane. Now Cosq has the Syndra. Fnatic need a response in their second rotation here. Otherwise, mid laners are going to get banned away. It's a Rise. You may see the Cassiopeia come out. The Echo as well. That is a pick that we've seen Fnatic Academy flex up to the top side as well. But it just depends on where Fnatic Academy want to go with this.
I think one of the things with Niski as well is early on in Challenger Series, he really wasn't having an impact from that mid lane role when he was playing these sort of more control mage orientated styles, so the Rise and the Orianna. If he picks Orianna here, he really needs to show up. Now, Fizz is going to get solidified. We have to assume that's for Kikis in the top lane.
And now you have to try and pick something into Fizz top lane as a matchup. Fizz is one of the strongest top laners right now. I mean, if Jisoo wants to play it. I'm interested to see what Fnatic Academy actually ban away in rotation 2 now. It's going to be 80 carries unless Misfits like the Ashe here.
Looks like it is going to be Ashe locked in, so 80 carries off the board really in terms of bans. No reason to go there. Mid laners as well. Jungle could be locked out here from Misfits Academy. Lee Sin and a Elise ban would really narrow that pool down.
But then I think Amazing just plays something like a Kha'Zix. Dare I say it, the Rek'Sai that Giants banned out last week. Not a particularly great jungler, but not one that Graves is going to demolish in the jungle. Like, yes, Graves will outfarm. Yes, Graves will have a lot more damage, but Rek'Sai generally is the Orianna of the jungle. Won't lose that heavily, so you end up doing nothing.
Actually, this Fizz matchup, we were talking about what you pick into it. We've actually seen Jisoo play this matchup before. He played Nautilus into it, and they won against Origin. Now, there's a big difference between Kikis and Origin, but still, I think perhaps the Nautilus is not a safe pick, but something Jisoo might revert to.
It is possible. It certainly can't overlook that they may go for it. I feel like Kikis should get ahead in that matchup. Sartorius last week was all kinds of off his form. Dying 1v1 at level 2. Kikis looks like he's on form for Kikis. Like, this is a guy that has been in LCS semis, LCS finals as a top laner, and I expect to see that performance again.
We'll have to see if he is able to bring out the big guns on that Fizz. Next ban here for Fnatic Academy. Expect it to focus up towards, well, I was going to say top, but it's going to be the Tahm Kench taken away.
With Braum, Zyra, and Tahm Kench banned away, Lulu banned away, Camille banned away as a potential flex, Malzahar banned away. Dreams, we've seen him play Bard in splits gone by. Used to share the support role with Ignar.
Thresh as well.
Misfits, Thresh is available.
It's interesting, actually.
Karma
Misfits
surely has to be the pick here for Fnatic Academy.
Yeah, Clyde's played a lot of Karma games. I think it's the second most picked across the split. But interesting to see Misfits Academy leaving their support pick for last, really focusing on getting a winning bottom lane. Not
necessarily. This could be a flex, remember, up to the top side. So depending on what the support lock-in here for Fnatic is, we may see an adjustment. We may see like a Nami come through if they want to play a ranged matchup. But now we get to see the jungle. Lee Sin is likely to be the one. The Elise is there that was banned in the last game as well.
Rek'Sai is on the cards for Amazing, so not even going for any of the junglers we thought he would select. Has played Rek'Sai across the split, but not going for Lee Sin, not going for Elise.
Giants were right all along to ban Rek'Sai first last week.
Well, don't say that until you see the results of the game, Stress. Just because they pick it doesn't mean it will do well. And it's going to be the supporter list that you talked about, and Jace in the top lane against that Fizz.
Yeah, Jace up, so certainly can output a lot of presence against Fizz, playing the melee into range. That's one of the things Fizz has always struggled with. But if Kikis gets ahead, Jisoo's a squishy target. So jumping on him, there's only one knockback. We'll see how this matchup ends up going. Should, in theory, go Jisoo's way in the laning phase, Kikis might be in trouble.
There's a lot of squishy targets on that Misfits Academy squad. Apart from the Nautilus, really, everyone is pretty squishy, pretty easy to catch out.
Yeah, but then you look at the setup that Misfits Academy have, and again, they have high crowd control. if Fnatic don't snowball from top lane, they've now got a more of a reactive mid laner. Difficult engage potential because Rek'Sai doesn't have solid, reliable engage. Karma can speed him up, Varus has the ult, but they'll run out of options if they're not snowballing heavily.
Well, we are going to get onto the Summoner's Rift once again. It's going to be game 2 of this best of 5 series as Fnatic Academy take on Misfits Academy. If you guys want to get involved, make sure you're tweeting at us at LOL Esports with the hashtag FNA win if you think Fnatic are going to go 2-0 up, and hashtag MFA win if you think Misfits Academy will even out the series. Last time we saw the fan vote go in favor of Fnatic, 86% or so ahead. This time we'll have to wait and see.
I don't think it's going to be too much different. Maybe even a little bit more towards...
Have you cast your vote, Stress?
No, I'm impartial.
Okay.
So, yeah, not supposed to. That would be bad.
I don't cast votes either, but we are going to get onto the Summoner's Rift. Impartial doesn't mean that you can't predict a winner, though. It just means you can't have favorites.
That's true. It's like the reverse of the Eurovision, where like they just don't let you vote because you know you just vote for your own country, even though, as I'm sure you're aware, being from Britain, we always end up at the bottom of that competition. Always a sad
Sometimes you have to let other people win.
Yeah, I know, right?
I want to come back to this bottom lane, Stress, though, because we saw the Nautilus picked Flex, as you say. It's been taken into the support role here for Dreams. Very well known for his more tanky support picks. Now we've got a strong Varus with Mr. Rollers, and Cly is on this Karma. There seems to be a lot of poke potential from this Fnatic Academy bot lane. A lot of push power there as well. Yeah,
there's a good amount of push, and as you said, poke coming from it. And last game wasn't quite so solid for Fnatic Academy's bot lane. Obviously, Cly ending up leaving, giving up first blood, put Rallis on the back foot, but that didn't really matter because Misfits Academy weren't punishing it.
Yeah.
They never got so far ahead bot lane that it was that big of a difference. So we'll see whether the lane itself will settle. Dreams is going to lose like half of his health. But
takes Titan's Wrath first as well, which changes that level 1 quite a lot for him.
Yeah, now there's no push, as well, not as much as Riptide. There's no engage potential. So Nautilus is going to be worse off for now, at least.
Well, someone's cast their vote in favor of Fnatic, 82%. That is pretty devastating if you're a Misfits fan, but we have seen greater upsets. Misfits, of course, destroyed the tank that was Schalke after they went undefeated in the Challenger Series, and I'm sure they are relishing the chance to take down Fnatic Academy.
You can see Fnatic are very slow to capitalize on this push, but it's intentional. It is intentional for them. They're trying to zone away Misfits Academy so that it's just the creeps dying in the exchange just between each other. So they're trying to deny any experience and get a lead for Fnatic as they'll hit too early.
And both of these AD carries have been pretty strong over the playoffs and the earlier promotion series. You can see how much Yuki tends to get ahead. Fnatic did a great job of stopping that in game 1, and Mr. Rales actually did twice as much damage as Yuki in the last game. You can see his damage percentage as part of the team is incredibly strong.
Yeah, and these stats obviously come from last week's promotion series. One of the things to look at is that duo proximity you were talking about, significantly higher for Misfits Academy. They spend more time together in the laning phase, whereas Cly, we saw it punish Fnatic in the last game, spending a lot of time out of lane, and again, it's happening. You can see him up on his own in the jungle. They had vision control around that Grump. Just move in, get some damage down. It buys amazing time topside.
And this is what we've seen from Amazing and Kikis across the regular split. It's all about getting to that top lane and getting your carry in terms of Kikis ahead.
Misfits Academy know exactly where Amazing is, though. He has to be careful. Just the intuition of where he can be on the map. Look, 3 members are starting to collapse on Amazing already.
He's going to tunnel out into the Blast Cone. Pridestalker tried to flash forward, but Kozku is just around the corner, and Amazing has nowhere to go. Kozku with first blood.
3 versus 1. Easy collapse on Misfits Academy's side there. Good read from the team, knowing that he was likely to be on the top side, knowing he would be heading towards those Krugs. Misfits Academy punish the over-aggressive Amazing, and I think a lot of it comes from the fact that Jisoo had pushed up in the top lane, Kozku had pushed out mid lane, and it meant Amazing was invading on his own.
That reminds me, actually, of what Fnatic did against H2K this last week. They saw the enemy jungler invading and then collapsed.
Yeah, and you can see, look, top side pushed away. KOZQ at least stays in lane long enough to force Miski back and stand behind his tower. And it's an easy collapse there. Misfits Academy get a lot from Amazing here. Pridestalker did use his flash in the exchange, but still, everything going their way again. This happened in game 1. Kick is just running under the tower. He has got Ignite, so just trying to force Jisoo low enough so that he can kill him.
He's got that Corrupting Potion as well, so if you can get those extra auto attacks down with the CSUN Trident, you can get the harass off. Jisoo, of course, going just for the Doran's Blade to start, but Kikis will back away. Jisoo will do the same, and gonna see if either of those laners decide to use their teleport. It doesn't look like Kikis will.
Kikis is just gonna run it back. I think Pridestalker just pinged that he was maybe heading towards top, but Jisoo clearly instructing him to go elsewhere. Ooh, Jisoo uses his teleport. That could be key now. Jisoo obviously didn't see a TP come out from Kikis, but wants to get back in the lane, wants to try and break a little of what Kikis had by pushing that wave up.
How important is that TP with level 6s, you know, as well? Because it will still be down by the time we start to see bottom lanes hit level 6.
There's other importance alongside the TP as well. It's very important if they do start hitting level 6, but look, no potions on that recall from Jisoo. He opted for a third longsword instead, whereas obviously Corrupting Potion and teleport available for Kikis might mean that Jisoo will end up getting dove at that level 6 point for Kikis. If Amazing can get in there as well and Pridestalker doesn't respond, Jisoo could be in trouble. Amazing's
on that top side of the map as well with the control ward in the bush. He knows that his path is safe into this lane.
But look at KOZQ already roaming up, places a ward, trying to just spot anyone that they can. Fnatic are trying to play this out carefully here. It's difficult to get Rek'Sai in. No flash means you don't get the flash unburrow. Jisoo just needs to respect that this is a possibility and he will be fine.
This reminds me of game 1 as well, because this is the moment where you have to be patient. When you're on the stage, when the nerves are ringing, this is where you have to say, no, I could get ganked. And that's what Fnatic did so well between those Baron buffs game 1. They were patient with their play. Can Misfits exemplify that?
Amazing's waited so long that Jisoo feels like surely it's not a lane gank. Surely it can't be there. Well, he's still in that bush. Surprise! Easter Bunny's coming!
Still connects onto Jisoo, even with the flash. Pridestalker's around the corner. Amazing's going to knock him up. Jisoo goes in onto Kikis, but the kill goes across towards the Fizz. Now Amazing needs to get away from Pridestalker. Just enough to escape.
And Pridestalker with no flash couldn't connect. The auto couldn't get in range to take down Amazing. And Fnatic Academy with a very patient gank up on the top side. Amazing's out. Kikis no flash, of course, on Fizz. Has to be careful here. This is a level 6 Syndra.
They need to get the playful Trickster out. There it comes. Unleashed power is available. Kikis gets taken out by Misfits Academy.
There's nothing really that playful about KOZQ running up to the top side and just ulting Kikis. No real way of surviving, but of course Kikis, we needed to see him get kills, and he is on the board. That's a Sheen picked up already, allows him to trade effectively now. Jisoo has to be careful at any point he takes a trade.
KOZQ as well has managed to get himself a 2-kill lead over Niski. He's coming back towards the mid lane now. We'll be able to complete that Morello's relatively soon. Game 1, he got first blood, but wasn't able to solidify anything out of this. Here, he's got a couple more kills. Can he get the Syndra rolling?
Well, it's a much less risky playstyle. You're looking for those long-range engages into the burst potential, so it's not like the Katarina where he has to use himself as a weapon, right? He can just throw the spheres around, make sure he can take out anybody, and we've seen teams that can utilize Syndra very well end games quickly off things like a 2-kill lead, but this is the exchange topside that is basically built up for a whole minute. And Kikis just says, screw it, I'm going to go in. Throws out the giant bunny, gets the kill, and starts it off rolling for himself. A little unfortunate for Pridestalker, he couldn't get that kill. That's like almost RNG. The surviving on like 20 health at that point. And then KOZQ comes in, waits for the playful Trickster, just hits her.
That's all you got to do.
No luck about that.
It's a difficult skill to use, Stress. I don't know what you're talking about.
You got to get in range. You got to be like, if they got under half health.
You have to get another sphere down somewhere.
Sometimes.
I mean, if it's against a support, you really don't care how much health they've got 9 times.
Press R and win the game.
Well, we are going to see, once again, focus up towards the top side by these junglers. Amazing's there, Pridestalker around the corner as well. Talking about Syndras that pop off, the last time that Fnatic Academy played against a Syndra in a competitive environment was against PSG. And it's the game they lost in that series where Blanc was able to get himself a huge amount of kills. Now, the question is whether Coscu can do that. Oh, indeed, because Easter is coming. Jisoo caught out by 3 members. Fnatic get themselves another kill.
There's only one a year. It only comes once a year, and twice the bunny's been top lane already.
He just wants his chocolate eggs, man.
The calendar's wrong. Someone messed up on that one. Arrow comes through though, Clyde hooked in.
Coscu's there as well. There's the unleashed power. Wasn't under half health. Stress still able to get the kill. That's good reactions from Misfits though, because this is what we didn't see from them game 1. We saw Fnatic getting kills and getting objectives straight away. Here, Misfits are stopping them from getting those towers.
And a lot of that is the fact that Fnatic took a long time to show on the top side of the map. They were kind of hiding behind the tower, so Misfits are thinking, okay, they're not back bot lane. They're probably top side, and then they start reacting. You can see already they're recalled towards mid lane with the Misfits Academy duo. And as soon as they see Fnatic show top side, they're able to look for the play on the top side of the map. Coscu roams up as well. And this is just decent response. He's punishing Fnatic for maybe being a little too eager to get vision down. Don't respect the Ash Arrow. Clyde didn't flash away from it. Ends up getting killed. Misfits Academy equalize that kill exchange.
However, Kikis has now got his Sheen. Jisoo sitting on a Serrated Dirk and a Caulfield's Warhammer, and Amazing once again is near Kikis. Pridestalker here as well though, and he's going to be the one to step forward. Now, Amazing's going to get the knock-up onto Jisoo. Ignite is down, but Pridestalker's going to do a lot of work, as is Jisoo. Chum the Waters comes out, Pridestalker flashes in, not quite able to connect with the Shock Blast. Misfits Academy get a kill and get out.
Look who's roaming again though, Coscu, he's looking for it.
Playful Trickster is not quite available yet. There it is, Coscu, one more spear, one more auto's all it takes. That's 4-0 for Syndra.
Yeah, Kikis was trying to juke the Q if it had been cast, and Coscu calls his bluff. This is much better reactions out of Misfits Academy. You can see how influential this Syndra pick is. Dominates the early game, now roaming around. Coscu, this is what has been one of his real strengths in Challenger for a long time, is the ability to roam faster than the enemy, and he's in a matchup that he can do it in. Great ult here, straight through the two of them, makes it easy for Jisoo to pick up the first kill. Kikis trying to just juke everything, and he does a good job right up until Coscu roams down. Even tries to get past the sphere, tries to get in behind Coscu and do anything, but not enough.
Whether it be autos or your ultimate, point and click is the way to win with that Syndra. Now incredibly strong in that mid lane. Jisoo's coming up towards top, and Cly and Rallis might get caught out. There's the arrow, goes through the goalpost, but Cly is dead. Once again, Jisoo gets his second kill of the game.
Didn't even matter that Dreams pulled Cly back away from where the arrow was about to hit. Ooh, shockwave on the minions. Coscu didn't even have to burn his flash. Didn't even matter because there's enough crowd control coming from Dreams that they lock the Karma down. Cly ends up falling, and you can see Fnatic will run out of options here. They're looking for one though. TP gets cancelled by Kikis, and Fnatic Academy may have to concede this top tower.
The pushing power from Misfits Academy, when you've got the Jace, the Graves, and the Ashe there, is incredibly strong. Your ability to take towers is just dominating. Misfits Academy have extended a 4,000 gold lead. They're looking to make that even more by taking this tower. And actually, the push in by Kikis was cancelled because Jisoo teleports down to bottom lane.
Yeah, because he saw Kikis TP up top side and then cancel it. Jisoo just says, okay, well, I'll match most of that cooldown. I'll head bot side, weather any kind of damage from Fnatic Academy. And this is the difference between, I feel, Fnatic Academy running a Lee Sin, something like that, and now this Rek'Sai. I kind of understand why they've gone this way. They want something that can cross the map quite quickly, get some defensive capability. The problem is, it reduces Amazing's impact on the game. Difficult to get into fights. We talked about it. If you don't have Flash Unburrow, you can't really start anything off.
I want to come back to how Pridestalker is playing this game as well, because he's 0-0-4 on this Graves, and when he first started off in Challenger Series, we always talked about him being too predictable for his enemy jungler. He played like a solo queue jungler. People would know where he was, and he didn't respect. This game, it feels very much more like Amazing has been the predictable one. Time after time, he's gone top lane, and Pridestalker and Jisoo have answered.
A lot of that is champion specific is like Rek'Sai. You know Rek'Sai is not going to be just trying to steal everything in your jungle every single minute. So there's no real way of punishing Misfits on the other side of the map. Because Jisoo has been playing around other people. Fnatic Academy have been kind of playing around Kikis with Rales and Amazing and Cly at the same time. So it's been difficult for Fnatic Academy to do anything out on a side lane, and that's one of the strengths that Rek'Sai normally would have, is you do something one half of the map and then you know, rush over to the other, get yourself into the fray, and suddenly you've been two places almost at the same time.
Well, you said it, Stress. In the last game, both of these teams are used to playing from behind. Fnatic actually have a winning record from behind, 2-1. Look at the damage! Whoa! Okay, that was more than expected onto Rales. Does escape with about 20 HP.
That's 4-0 Syndra with Morellonomicon, Needlessly Large Rod, and Sork Pen boots.
That's all you need.
Or Magic Pen boots. So Cosq just deletes Mr. Rales, doesn't quite take him all the way out. But okay, this is what Fnatic Academy have been trying to do for a while, or at least wanted to do with this Rek'Sai. Problem is, look at the exchange. It's in a tower for outer tower, and outer tower is dying slower than Misfits Academy are taking out that inner tower on the top side.
And because Niski doesn't really have any threat to an Ashe, that means that they can quite easily just put Yuki mid and counteract the push. Now Misfits Academy bring 4 members, maybe even 5 if Jisoo decides to join towards this mid lane, and will look for their 4th tower of the game. And
this is how you punish the Orianna, because she's not strong enough right now that one shockwave under the tower will kill 4 people. No completed items. They get the minions, but Misfits Academy now have taken all of the defensive threat away from Misfits Academy when they start grouping. Kikis is heading over to this now, so with 4 people strong, they can defend the tower, but now they don't have to worry about stepping too far forward. A shockwave comes out and the rest of Fnatic regroup, because that cooldown is not there.
Last time Niski played this Orianna was actually against Fnatic Academy in the Week 4 matches. It was a tough... Oh, sorry, Niski... Yeah, was actually against Misfits Academy, not Fnatic. Too many academies for me here, Stress. Was actually against Misfits Academy. He won that game. They were able to snowball some early advantages, but here it's just not really being able to get on top of Cosq. Cosq's got a bunch of kills, hasn't even gone towards any magic resist because he doesn't really feel threatened by Niski, and Niski's picked himself up a Negatron cloak to try and counteract some of the damage coming out from Cosq. Sounds
like you're making a very nuanced statement on British education there about too many academies it's true. That point, which is such a nuanced, like, we're going to drop that.
Yeah,
we need to move away from that.
No one knows what you're talking about, Stress.
So we are in a pause. That's what we need to talk about now. Looks like there is an issue with Cly. Hopefully we'll get an update in just a second.
I think it's actually Niski having a couple of issues as they sort it out. It might be Cly. We'll just have to wait and see, as you say. Let's come back to this game, though, because Misfits Academy have got this 5,000 gold lead, and now they have to be looking at how they extend this. How do they close out the game? Fnatic did it so well game 1. How do Misfits do it here?
Well, now we need to see that the vision control and the way that Misfits Academy can hold key areas like river and the jungle entrances. We got to see how that differs to game 1, because game 1 it was pretty bad. Out of Misfits Academy, they fell behind, couldn't establish control, and that's where Fnatic punished them. So we need to see Misfits Academy do a 180 on that and completely take away any vision from Fnatic Academy, because that's what this Fnatic lineup is going to require, to get Fizz further out on the side lane, to try and get Amazing out there on one of the lanes with him. Maybe they can get that to work once, but Misfits Academy, with the Ash Arrow, with the stun from Syndra, the Dredge line, everything from their lineup should be able to punish a Fnatic member that steps out of line.
Yeah, pick potential is so strong from them. As you said, it is Cly who's having the issue, just a client crash for him, so they're sorting that out, be restarting the client and getting us back into the action as soon as possible. Bottom lane's been relatively quiet, although we've had a little bit of a swap. A slight CS lead here for Yuki, but last game it was much more about how Mr. Rales was playing. Does he have the possibility to go off as well in this game as he did in the last?
Oh, he absolutely does. Like the Varus with the Blade of the Ruin King, once you get Hurricane as well, you end up in a team fight, you start stacking up the Blight stacks, you can just completely tear apart a team. That's what Yuki did last week. when they were playing against Origin, getting a pentakill for himself. So certainly the prospect is still there for Rales. But as we head back into game now, Misfits Academy, we want to see them push this lead. We want to see them utilize cosq Syndra as they have been all game, putting him in key places, catching out Fnatic members, and then you take the turret that stands behind them.
It looks slightly to me like Misfits Academy are deciding to go for a bit of a 1-3-1. We saw Jisoo there in the bottom lane, cosq up in the top. Is that a strategy they can employ, or are they going to be playing more around picks in team fights?
Well, what they need to do now that they have pushed out both lanes is head towards mid lane and threaten a dive. At least make Nisqy concede the tower. Dragon is up, but it's only Cloud. You're not really looking for that as a high priority. Maybe they'll go for it if Fnatic put up too much of a defense here, but you've pushed the lanes out. Now you've got to look for an aggressive play. That's a shockwave predominantly on the minions, because shockwaving the minions denies Misfits' ability to push on this, and they just use the arrow that comes through. So again, now Misfits Academy have to rethink. They have to back themselves away, look for a different play. They're going to try it, even though Fnatic Academy have deterred them, and that's because Rales is topside. Yeah,
Rales still in the top lane, Kick is still in the bottom lane. It means that Misfits can step up. cosq actually used Ghost there just to try and force them further back, and Misfits will take their fourth tower of the game.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of AD carries playing out on the side lane. Fnatic, LCS team, are perhaps one of the best European teams to do that, but they're commonly doing that with picks like Kennen, like, dare I say it, the Vayne, that at least can move slightly faster from lane to lane. Varus not exactly known for his lickety-split speed heading from lane to lane.
It's known for his wave clear, though, which would have been very helpful there. Now, Fnatic are going to take the Cloud Drake. This feels very much like they just said, there's something on the map. Let's get an objective somewhere.
Yeah, they've gone up to the bargain bin. They're just seeing what's left at the end of the day. It's a Cloud Drake, not exactly the highest priority of objectives. They do get something for it, though. But as we enter this, cosq has just been spotted in the top side. So that's a key moment again, talking about that 1-3-1. He's strong enough to 1v1 almost anyone right now as well.
Yeah, once again, we have just a slight bug splat on Clay. Something that's quite common to happen when you reconnect to a pause game, so we're sure we'll be able to get it sorted out. No worries about that.
Slight bug splat. Can you splat a bug and call it splat?
Well, if you catch one leg, or if you only catch a couple, it's like Kha'Zix, right? If you get Kha'Zix to use his ult and half health him, it's a slight bug splat. You haven't quite completely splatted the bug. I don't know, maybe you're just a lot stronger than I am and you never get these slight bug splats. Or I just have stronger bugs in my life.
No mercy. We're entering summer, so that's when everything, well, it's spring, so everything starts coming back, all the bugs are back. Yeah. So don't want to see that, but what we do want to see here is honestly like 5 games. I want to see these teams go the distance, and that would be a Misfits win here in game 2. I think would set us off on the right path for that. I think they have had such a good start to this game too. I don't really see them losing it. There is the option for Fnatic Academy, if they can get a team fight with a Shockwave, with Varus, these kind of things, they can turn it back around. But Misfits Academy last week never let go when they had a lead, and I'm expecting the same kind of performance.
It was a different idea that they were playing against, though, because it's Origin compared to Fnatic Academy. And no offense to Origin, at times they looked okay, but Fnatic Academy have looked a lot stronger as a team, especially in terms of being able to fight back from being behind. We saw in their 3 games that they've been behind, they have won 2 of them.
I mean, when you look at it, like, I mean, Giants stronger than Origins, you have to expect Fnatic Academy somehow stronger than Giants with that win last week, so they should be able to.
By the law of transubstantiated properties. Well, while the league officials swap out a PC on the stage, we're going to go over to the analyst desk for a look at the game thus far.
Thank you, Medic. An interesting game to be sure. Big change of pace here in this one. Misfits suddenly in control of the game. It feels like a much better look for this team overall. I mean, how did we get here? How are Misfits so far ahead now suddenly in this mid-game?
Well, let's see. Last ban was LeBlanc. That definitely helped.
That helps.
They also picked the Syndra, so now instead of having 0 mid lane pressure, which they had before with the Graves, they now have a lot of it with Syndra. A much better combination between Pride Stalker here and cosq. And obviously now Syndra as well has been very successful 4-0 in the game, also due to some gifted early kills.
Yeah, we see also just in the pick and ban, amazing opting for the Rek'Sai. That's why Fnatic was willing to not pick the jungler early. We were a bit surprised, like, oh, amazing, willing to potentially lose the Lee Sin and the Lees in second ban phase, well, that's worth investigating. And then he picked up the Rek'Sai anyways, with one of them being open right there. So it just indicates that they had a different idea coming into this game.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what I think about Rek'Sai specifically. I mean, it makes sense if you want a front line, you build early Ninja Tappy, but to me, Lee Sin gets just as tanky. So
except for the part where
except for the one part where he got some HP back in the top lane fight and actually survived. But I just feel like you have way more playmaking potential for Amazing, who went nuts in game 1. So I'm kind of surprised. You know, he was the hot player, and then you take him off that pick where maybe he had a chance of doing it again.
The one thing still worth noting before we move on from picks and bans is that like Misfits Academy double ban supports. I think they went Zyra Karma game 1, and now they went Zyra Braum. So they're heavily targeting ranged push supports and Cly. You would expect them to then go for Karma, but they hand it over and go for the Nautilus matchup. So I'm not quite sure where they're going with this second ban phase, and I hope they can at least move away from it, because historically speaking, blowing double support bans in the phase 2 should give you a bigger advantage than what they're currently getting.
I think it just gave them like the flex option of Nautilus, and then once they saw, okay, it's Karma support, we can play Nautilus against it. Now we can actually try and counterpick the Fizz. Jace is a pick I've heard from different top laners, is like an option against Fizz. No way like a free win or anything. It's like very much a skill matchup, and it's a skill matchup that's kind of gone a little bit wrong for the Misfits Academy.
To be fair, I've heard the same thing, that like Renekton has a solid matchup into Fizz, and yet we saw
Renekton has a great matchup into
solo
Fizz.
killing, you know, a Renekton. So I feel like maybe defaulting to a comfort pick isn't, or defaulting to a counter
just
pick
because
isn't the best option.
the counter matchup gets solo killed once doesn't make it.
That's on the player.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is
player.
I'm not saying that it's not a counter matchup. I'm simply saying that like how confident do you have to be to pick something that's a quote unquote counter when Kikis has already proved that hey, it's a counter pick, but that doesn't really matter. I'm still going to outclass you on an individual level.
I mean, I think you have to trust in your players there. Like, if you can't, at least in a game 2 of a best of 5, try and go for some of these skill matchups, these kind of skill counters, then I feel like you're almost surrendering the game already. At least you're surrendering that one lane. I don't think you have to do that just yet as Misfits Academy. Like, Jace has gotten back into this game as well, and they've taken down a few objectives. So it's definitely not all bad, and I think Misfits Academy can be pretty happy with this game.
And while Misfits Academy have been playing very well, we did see some small mistakes coming in from Fnatic. In the early game. I want to take a look now at one from Amazing coming in the first few minutes. This is, of course, the instance where he was going to give up first blood here.
All right, and this is League Fundamentals 101. If you are going to invade the enemy jungle, what you should look for is what we call priority in the lanes. TLDR, it means make sure that your lanes are pushing so your mid laner and top laner can assist you in times of need.
Yeah, because if you look at the map right now, Kikis, you can see him near his top lane tower. Niski here is just outside of the picture. Koskyu actually has to push in that lane. So Amazing invading here, being it professional games, being it solo queue, is just super, super risky.
And we have to point out that Jisoo put a ward in the brush next to the Crux because he could expect Amazing to be there because his jungle was playing on the other side of the map. So this was a logical path here, and look at how fast and how swiftly they're punishing him. He has to use Tunnel over. Pride does not go for Blast Cone early enough, but even then, Koskyu arrives at the Herald Pit before anybody is even close to reacting to what Amazing is doing.
Yes, and this is of course why if you don't have priority in lanes, your laners can't move, and that's why you see like a Koskyu just walk from mid lane to the river. No one is fighting him on the way. No one is forcing him away. He just gets a free kill, and that's why this invade is really, really odd. I can only really see it being a smart move if you don't have any camps on your side and you're kind of like, you're desperate for experience, you kind of have to go for it. There were 3 camps up on Amazing's own side he could have just grabbed. But he went for this play here, and yes, you have mobility in the Rek'Sai, you had a ton, you had a blast cone. He probably felt like he had enough ways to get out.
All right, Spiscio, I hate to cut you off here, but
no, you don't. You love to do that.
Yeah, all right, I do love to cut you off. Well, interesting, we'll see how Fnatic are able to adjust as we move forward. Their PC has now been swapped out, so we are going to get it back to the casters and get back into game 2. Medic, take it away.
Thank you very much, guys. Dracos in particular, Deficio as well, for continuing to talk, giving me more time to catch my breath before we get back into the game.
No thanks for Crepo. I see how it is.
Crepo, the problem with Crepo is he's slightly buffer than I am, and that frustrates me.
That's, I guess, fair reasoning. So we're back into the game, recapping for you. 5,000 gold lead for Misfits Academy. It has been a much better early game based around Koskyu, Syndra getting the first blood that we saw the analyst break down based on the fact they caught Amazing off an odd invade, and Misfits Academy have not let up since.
Rift Herald going across to Misfits here. That's going to go on to Jisoo, you have to expect. We saw Kikis getting it last game, and I'm sure he would have liked to have it this game as well. But Misfits are setting that side lane up for success.
Yeah, will pick that one up for himself, and now you see Kikis pushing up on the bottom side. If he does this later on in the game, they have to be very careful that he doesn't get 2v1, but you can see 2 wards there, keeping him safe for now. Misfits Academy have just made a play on the mid tower. Before we went into the pause, they got that mid tower down, denied Fnatic Academy that last outer tower remaining.
How safe is CosQ into this matchup against Kikis as well? Because once again, we see a 1-3-1 from Misfits Academy with Jisoo in top lane and CosQ answering Kikis in this bottom lane.
It's very difficult actually for Kikis to really punish CosQ, because if he uses his playful tricks too early, he will just get stunned. If he doesn't then dodge like a lot of the damage, he's going to get all in. He's not tanky enough and doesn't actually have magic resist to survive through either. So Kikis does have to give a lot of respect over to a Syndra that has 2 levels up on him already.
Next Drake up is Cloud as well, so no real contest around that bottom side jungle. You can see Misfits, though, stepping up into top side, saying, we want to get vision around this Baron. Perhaps we can sneak a 22-minute Baron like we saw Fnatic do in the last game.
Yeah, you can see a line of wards again, keeping Misfits safe this time. Well, 2 wards through the jungle. Fnatic Academy have done a decent job of maintaining some sense of vision control. You can see top side, a couple of wards there. 2 controls on bottom side, some in the river. That's better than Misfits Academy were doing in game 1, when behind.
It's definitely true. Let's have a quick rundown of the items as the game has slowed down once again. Black Cleaver completed on Jisoo alongside that Yumu's. Mid lane, we've got the Luden's Echo and a Morello Nomicon, and actually only 1 completed item on Yuki at the moment, so he's probably lagging behind his team ever so slightly, although to have 1.5 completed by 21 minutes is all right for an AD carry.
Yeah, he's actually recalling right now with 1,600 gold, so there's the... there is the Hurricane coming through. Similar amount of gold on Rales as well at the same time. So next time Rales recalls, which is actually right now, it'll be Hurricane into the boots finished, all that kind of stuff.
Looks like he's going Ninja Tabi instead of Zerkers here. So a lot of AD coming out from Misfits Academy. Makes sense to slow down those auto attacks a little bit. Yeah,
we've seen a lot of ADs going Ninja Tabi even when you're not faced with a Jace and a Graves and an Ashe. Like, yeah. Ninja Tabi, so strong, everybody buys them, basically.
Apart from Niski went for Merc Treads because he was getting destroyed in the lane.
Yeah, that's understandable. Going Mercury Treads in mid lane up against the Syndra, you want to just try and survive through, going for that Negatron Cloak as well. Didn't opt towards an Echo matchup. I wonder if Fnatic had gone Fizz Echo and just looked for a pure 1-3-1, that may have allowed them to go something like Lee Sin.
Yeah.
I wonder whether now you look at this draft and think back and go, okay, maybe we should have gone with that instead. I understand why you'd go Orianna. It gives you good late game, gives you good, presence in team fight, defensive capability. I just wonder.
I agree with you. I think Niski's played a little bit more control style this season, although he has played 1 game of Echo. Once again, we saw Kikis pushing in the bottom lane there. Jisoo's answered it, and Misfits are setting up around this Baron. They really want to try and draw out that teleport from Kikis to allow them the teleport advantage around that objective.
Problem is, Kikis has shown that he is a lot quicker to just move out of lane than Jisoo a lot of times. So pushes it out, moves out. Now Jisoo has pushed it back. So this is the point you're talking about, where Kikis will show under tower bot side. Then Misfits Academy will move in, sweep out vision, and maybe force that teleport out. And it's on Fnatic Academy to try and get as much control as they can. And that is something we don't often see. If you direct your eyes to the trinket slot on Fnatic Academy, 4 blue trinkets.
That's all you need, man.
Normally, you see at least 2 of the sweeping lenses because it's so important to deny vision at the same time. But Fnatic Academy seem to be so scared that Misfits Academy will look to rush the Baron down. They just want to try and maintain uptime on these blue trinkets at all times.
And this is what you were talking about, though. You were saying it's going to be a vision game. And actually, you can see Fnatic Academy saying, yeah, it's going to be a vision game. Let's get a lot of extra long-range, far-sight alterations.
Now, that tells you that Fnatic Academy are somewhat confident in themselves in the way that they may even be underestimating Misfits Academy. To say we won't sweep out your wards, we'll focus only on buying control wards for vision control, is a little bit of an unorthodox tactic, which is basically saying, we know we'll make the right decisions as long as we have vision. We don't care what decisions we're giving you the ability to make. That's a very different approach to how most teams do it.
Well, we've seen teams fall because they underestimated Misfits Academy before. Schalke, a notable example of that, played scaling compositions against them and just got destroyed 3-1 in that playoff bracket.
It does kind of stick out, though, that Misfits Academy won't have too much of an opportunity to go for Baron, because getting through 4 blue trinkets and finding that window. So now they go for it, and there's 2 available. So now all Fnatic have got to do, there you go, blue trinket comes out.
Do Misfits need to stop?
They need to stop.
Now?
They're not strong enough with 3 people, and there you go. That's where the blue trinkets, I mean, you could have done it with 2, maybe 3 at a push. That's where the blue trinkets have paid off. I feel like Klai should still have a sweeper. I don't think it realistically is necessary to have 4 blue trinkets, but maybe he feels like he's checked into people too many times and he just wants to get some vision. Normally you do that with a Q or something like that from the Karma.
It's adaptability, though, and that's what Fnatic have shown us time and time again. Misfits will get the Dragon. Jisoo is going to get this bottom tower as well, and this is slowly extending that Misfits gold lead. 8,000 ahead, well, 7,000 and a bit ahead now.
You see now, though, without the ability to deny wards, there are going to be difficult portions of this game and map for Fnatic Academy. They can't cross down through the jungle behind Jisoo to stop him because they don't know where the Misfits will spot them, and they don't know where Misfits are completely. So you might just be face-checking into a Syndra that would be 5-0 if you did that.
Even gone for the Void stuff now as well. No magic resist on her at all. It's pure damage coming out from
You know what they say about the best defense? It's a 4-0 Syndra?
It's not the Welsh rugby team, I think, is what they usually say. But
wow.
Fnatic Academy, an okay defense at the moment. They're losing small objectives here and there, but if they can continue just to extend this game out, you do get to a point where the Orianna comes online. The Varus does the same. However, Kickers might get caught out here. Coscu with the unleashed power onto Kickers. Unstoppable Syndra.
It's all too easy for Kickers. He's just got to wait out the playful trickster, and down goes Kickers. Kikis has itemized slightly towards magic resist, but he's also now looking towards that glacial shroud, looking for side lane where he can just push. And now it's on Amazing to hold this bot lane attempted push from Jisoo. Jisoo has teleport. Amazing does have the Void Rush, but there are no tunnels on the top side. There's 1 in the Wolf Pit and 1 up around Tribush, but Misfits Academy are already going for this.
Already down to half HP. Klai is there. Yuki's doing a lot of
Amazing
work.
might just die bot lane.
Amazing might just die to Jisoo. Will get taken out, and this is going to be a free Baron for Misfits Academy. Great play by Misfits. They secure the Baron. Ooh. They secure a 10,000 gold lead.
Oh, Jisoo just barely getting himself out for now, but there's the flash.
There's the kill, but it is a flash on your AD carry, and Misfits push mid.
For the Baron here, Misfits Academy already had the wave pushing. That's the inner tower going down. Look at how low Jisoo had actually managed to get that bot tower as well. Fnatic Academy are reeling in this game, and we talked about the difference in composure, the way that the teams were acting. Well, now Fnatic Academy may just be getting a bit of a reality check right now.
Coscu. Right, Kikis is here, though. There comes the carrot, and here comes the stick as the Orianna gets the kill.
Yeah, Fnatic with 1 as a return. Is it enough to stabilize the Baron buff? Still 245 on the clock for that, and a 10,000 gold lead should still be enough for Misfits Academy. Kikis is not strong enough to be out on the side on his own, so it means they have to group, and now they have no minions mid.
Kikis is going to get caught under the tower. We'll be able to play for Trickster away when needed, so we'll just jump around. Here's the redemption. Actually, Yuki is going to do a lot of work, but Kikis escapes. Rale's on a killing spree. Yuki's still there. Amazing going for the chase. Flash away by Yuki. Now onto Niski. No shockwave. Here's Jisoo from the side. Shut down onto Rale's. Kikis the new target as Niski tries to retreat as well. Command Dissonance will slow them down, and the shock blast doesn't connect. Misfits Academy still have Baron buff on a couple of their members. Where do they push?
They're trying to get down mid here. You can see Yuki heading down the mid lane with Pride Stalker, and they're just trying to deny recalls from Kikis and the rest of Fnatic Academy. Jisoo a little bit slow on that blast cone. They've done enough to hold. Here comes Amazing.
Amazing's there, and Yuki, of course, has no flash to get away. This is Misfits. They get caught out when they get these advantages, and Fnatic have been able to get themselves back into this game.
Fnatic drawing this into a scrappy game now means that Misfits Academy have lost their Baron buff on a couple of their players, and it's slowing them down. 1 minute 30 on the clock for Baron, and Fnatic with no minions just pushed up under tower using Rek'Sai to tank. You can see Teleport came into the back line from Jisoo, but he was a long way away and couldn't instantly punish. Pridestalker had his ult, but didn't feel like anyone was low enough. Throws it out, but Rallis had already died at that point. And now, Misfits Academy tried to slow down the rest of Fnatic, and as we head into the second phase of the replay, Amazing comes in from behind. He's got the Tiamat, he's tanky. Fnatic Academy slow down Misfits Academy, and as we were in the replay, we are into another pause here.
Yeah, Kicker's just having to pause for a second, wondering why perhaps his screen has been grey so many times this game. Fnatic, though, have come back. There was a 10,000 gold lead for Misfits when that Baron was taken. It's now down to only an 8,500 gold lead, which doesn't sound like a big change, but when you're playing into a Baron and you're managing to scrape gold back, that's huge for you as a team.
Yeah, it's going to obviously affect that Baron power play that we normally track. Excited to see where, maybe excited's a bit too enthusiastic a word about a Baron power play that is in progress, but certainly Misfits Academy have been in the lead for the last 30 minutes. This is a bit of a slowing tactic from Fnatic Academy, but without getting a Baron for themselves, without acing Misfits Academy, I don't think it's enough for Fnatic to have regrouped yet.
Well, we are back into the action on Summoner's Rift. 10 kills to 6 in favor of Misfits. 8,500 gold lead for them as well. Sorry, 7,500 gold lead, or thereabouts. Now, the question is, how can Misfits play around this? Because they will be slightly demoralized by the fact they had Baron and they've lost it on everyone but Pridestalker. They still have the advantage and they still need to play like they're ahead.
Yeah, they do. An update on that pause. League officials determined there was no reason in order to pause, so that is why the game has been resumed. And that means we're in that situation. As you said, Pridestalker, the only one with Baron buff still active. And Misfits Academy are now looking again for a push on the bottom side. Remember, they dealt some damage to that tower, but it has regenerated a small amount of its health. It's about a third of the overall health. So Jisoo can't go up on his own. He steps forward.
Here comes the Chum the Waters redemption. The rest of Misfits in the corner. Amazing. Taken down. Jisoo gets the kill, and Misfits can step forward now. They're looking for this inhibitor tower.
It was all a bait from Jisoo. He stepped forward, and the rest of Misfits Academy were there alongside him. Fnatic couldn't regroup in time, and now on the next minion wave, maybe 3-4 hits here from Jisoo should take down the tower. Shock Blast comes out. They've sunk Clyde.
Q has the unleashed power. Misfits will get another kill, and now Rallis is caught out. Everyone on Misfits low, but not low enough for Fnatic to get the kills. They've taken the inhibitor tower and they're back out.
Shockwave is not available for Niski. Mr. Rallis got caught. Flash and heal were available. Looks like he popped his Blade of the Ruined King, but didn't get himself out of the fight in time. When we see that again, we'll have to watch out what caught him. As Fnatic Academy, it wasn't enough to hold their inhibitor tower, but the inhibitor still stands, and Mr. Rallis is getting stronger and stronger. So as we watch the beginning of this fight, look at how fast Misfits Academy regroup. From the mid lane, Cosq pops Ghost, everybody runs down, and Amazing is not tanky enough to survive through. We move further on into this fight, and it's all about that minion wave pushing up. Misfits Academy know with the last remaining Baron buff they can move in. Clyde gets stunned, Rallis gets stunned as well. Dredge line, Rallis had an opportunity to heal and flash back, but he just tried to put as much damage down, and it was not enough. Everybody at Misfits Academy survived.
Negative power play for Misfits Academy, but they hadn't got that inhibitor, it would be a lot worse. Sorry, that tower, it would have been a lot worse for them.
It absolutely would have. Keep in mind the Misfits, that Baron power play includes the gold
from the Baron.
From Baron, so not exactly the cleanest passage of play from them. Hadn't extended their gold lead particularly far at all, in the negative on that one, but Misfits Academy, they are still 10,000 gold in the lead.
Earlier on, though, we were saying, can Misfits snowball this? Can they get their Syndra so far ahead no one can deal with her? Can they get Jisoo so far ahead no one can deal with him? Well, we're getting to the point in the game where gold doesn't really matter too much. People are sitting on 4 or 5 items, and it's purely about the power of the champion.
We're still not quite at that point. We're like one team fight away if Fnatic could win it from that point. The problem is Misfits Academy 6-kill Jace, 6-kill Syndra. The next team fight, it should be so heavily stacked in their favor, it should win them the game. If it doesn't, that's when Fnatic Academy can start relying on long death timers in order to buy them way back into this game.
Chum the Waters did miss in the bottom lane. Jisoo's here, but Fnatic are trying to react. Now, we saw Unlimited perhaps slightly disconcerted by his team's play. Didn't look the happiest of faces there, but Misfits can continue to look for this inhibitor. Shockwave on Jisoo will get healed up by the Redemption.
Kly's dead.
Kills Kly. Amazing caught out as well. 2 kills for Misfits. The inhibitor down as well. And Misfits start to take a stranglehold on this game.
Yeah, there is no front line for Fnatic, so if a stun lands on anyone, they will end up getting picked off. The ultimate was used from Kikis. Misfits Academy are going to take down the second inhibitor tower of the game. It will combo into the inhibitor, and they will recall likely for Baron here. Yes, there's still 30 seconds on Amazing, but they will be composed on this victory. They don't want to overpush. They don't want to make a mistake.
So it looks like the decision is not to recall and rather just go straight to the Baron. 4 seconds on it. TP is available for Jisoo, and you can see Cosq stays to push up this wave one more time.
Yeah, they've been healthy enough. The problem is Cosq does have to at least respect the ability for Fnatic to take him out. 6,000 health on this Baron, should die in time, but Kikis is on his way there. Has Chum the Waters available. Maybe Fnatic can regroup on this.
Niski's half health. Unleashed power was used. The TP comes in from Jisoo as well. Onto Rales, onto the backline. Jisoo trying to get the kill on the AD carry. Will take him out. Jisoo's on a rampage. Will pay for the kill with his life. Misfits Academy unable to take Baron.
Oh, Kikis is desperate to try and find something here, but he doesn't want to go aggressive into 4 players. Jisoo just took the entire focus of Niski, Rales, and Kly for a good portion of that fight, and Misfits Academy still didn't conclusively win the fight the other side. They ended up low. It meant they had to pull back away, but now Niski has shown on the bottom side. Somebody had to deal with those minions. Rales wasn't alive, and Kikis was still in the area of the fight, so Misfits Academy do get the recall timing now. Will head back to base, but this was the exchange all the way back in the base. As Jisoo got shockwaved in, it looked like Fnatic could have got on top of him, but it wasn't enough. Amazing gets hooked in, gets taken down, and it combos into multiple inhibitors. Then we go to the Baron fight. Look at the amount of time Niski, Rales, and Kly end up fighting Jisoo, who's behind the team now. Everybody moves over. Rales trying desperately to stay alive. Finally, Niski ends up taking him down, but look at the low health, low mana, means they cannot continue the fight. And Misfits Academy resume this dance around Baron, but with 2 inhibitors down, it's all going to be on Kikis to clear out the minions and then get to the fight. Otherwise, these super minions will take down the Nexus towers.
Is a shockwave for Niski, so if you can get that ball position perfectly, you can do something. TP in, as you say, Redemption
Baron's gone.
Kly takes the Unleashed power. Baron goes down. However, Cosq's dead, and maybe Fnatic can take the fight. Chum the Waters in the pit. Dreams the front line. Jisoo, Yuki, Pridestalker trying to get the hell out of that Baron pit, but Jisoo cannot get away. Only 2 members of Misfits survive as Fnatic take down 3.
Fnatic end up with 3 kills in exchange for the Baron. They will lose a Nexus tower for it, though. Second wave of supers may expose this Nexus. Kly gets there just in time with the rest of the team. And a minion wave spawn is enough to save the second Nexus tower. Fnatic Academy are holding on, but they are losing objectives all the time. Misfits Academy are at least trading at a net even, but that shouldn't be happening 10k gold ahead.
Yeah, when you're 10,000 gold ahead, you'd hope to be trading pretty profitably. What is it about Baron fights and Nexus towers going down, Stress? It seems to be just a story of our games together.
Well, this series has been a lot because teams are just going at Baron. When 5 people are available and alive for both teams, they're just going, okay, let's start the Baron, we'll draw him in, and then the other team calls their bluff, comes for the fight, maybe wins it, maybe doesn't, who really knows? Misfits Academy, in theory, were in the position to do that. With 2 inhibitors down, minions push in. Problem is, Cosq ended up dying. His flash wasn't available. And that meant one of the big damage dealers, 7 kills worth of damage, was not there. Elder Drake is the focus for Fnatic, but look, topside, Ashe and Nautilus are pushing through. This Elder Dragon isn't dying that quick.
Down to 4,000, Shockwave misses. Price Talker's in the pit. The Baron, Dragon is low. Koski gets a massive knockup, and the Dragon does go down to Fnatic. Now, they've taken 2 kills, and there's still a push in that top lane, as you say, by Yuki, by Dreams. Misfits will catch Niski, but he cleanses that straight away. Amazing and Niski need to get away, but they've lost another inhibitor.
Niski didn't have Shockwave available and was trying to position aggressively. This might just be Misfits pushing in. We've still got 40 seconds left on Mr. Rales. Fnatic may have over-aggressed or may have made an over-aggressive play onto the Dragon.
Koski with the Zhonya's, the knockup from Amazing, but now he's dead as well. Kikis and Niski are caught out as Misfits look for the base. They'll take the Nexus Tower down and they'll even out the series 1-1.
Fnatic Academy looked like they might have stabilized, but there's how the gold lead plays out in Misfits Academy's favor. First of all, they're able to just push right through the Nexus and get Game 2 as a win. We've evened up the series.
That we have, but Misfits won't be too happy with the way they played at the end of that game. There was sloppy play in bits and pieces, and perhaps they need to just go back to the drawing board and say, what do we do exactly when we've got this lead? What do we do? Because they're good enough players to get ahead. The question is, how can they capitalize on being ahead?
Yeah, it had been decent up until that point. The problem is that Misfits Academy just kind of trying to cut a few corners and then winning off the back of the fact they had an 8-kill Syndra and an 8-kill Jace that just ends up kind of winning the game for them. It was better out of Misfits Academy, but it wasn't the same kind of cleanliness that we saw out of Fnatic in the first game. I'm glad, though, that we've seen Misfits Academy come out with the early game lead, start playing very well around the jungle, punishing what Amazing was trying to do, because now it means Game 3 onwards is going to be a lot more exciting when you look at the competitive nature of both teams.
How do you change it, though, if you're Fnatic now? Because we've seen Misfits adapt, now Fnatic need to adapt.
Don't pick Rek'Sai.
Well, I think we can all agree with don't pick Rek'Sai. Is that the only thing they need to do, though?
I think maybe picking slightly more active matchup in mid lane seemed to pay off very well. Niski was solid and good on the LeBlanc. Now, that was banned, but then opting into the Orianna meant that for 20 minutes of this game, Niski didn't really do too much. I like Niski on more active champions, even if it's the likes of a Ryze that has that Realm Warp available, get yourself into a fight. But it's awkward right now because you anticipate Fnatic Academy will pick red side, so we're going back to Game 1 style draft where they're likely to give over the Graves to Misfits Academy in first rotation and then pick something else up for themselves. So we have to look at how the draft ends up going in Game 3.
A lot of it feels like it comes down to the strategy behind the game as well, because you've got Fnatic Academy who usually play a 1-3-1. They're not really being able to play that style because the Fizz got behind, and Misfits Academy dealing quite well with their own 1-3-1. Yeah,
it looked a lot better. I think that Fnatic Academy just have to watch out now that they don't pick things like the Fizz and the Orianna too early, because then they just gave away a matchup in the top side and everything kind of fell into place for Misfits Academy.
It's true. Well, Misfits Academy have tied the series up at 1-1. We'll be back with Game 3 right after this.